Welcome to the first video on Proxmox. This will be like an introduction and then we'll cover the installation. So Proxmox is an open source virtualization platform that combines two virtualization technologies. The first one is called KVM, which stands for kernel-based virtual machine, and then LXC, which is Linux containers. So this makes Proxmox a Type 1 hypervisor, also known as a bare metal hypervisor, as it runs directly on the host hardware to control the hardware and to manage the guest operating systems. So as opposed to VirtualBox, which runs on your host system, whether it's Windows or Mac or Linux, Proxmox runs on the metal. So Proxmox is like the hypervisor, is like the operating system on that system. So basically, VirtualBox and Proxmox are both virtualization platforms, but they serve different purposes and have different features. So some of the key differences between VirtualBox and Proxmox include, VirtualBox is a Type 2 hypervisor, meaning it runs on top of an existing operating system like a regular application, where Proxmox, on the other hand, is a Type 1 hypervisor, also known as a bare metal hypervisor, which runs directly on the host hardware without the need for a separate operating system. VirtualBox is designed for desktop virtualization, is well suited for running a few virtual machines on a single desktop or laptop. However, Proxmox is designed for server virtualization and is intended for managing and running multiple virtual machines and containers on a server. VirtualBox has a GUI interface that allows users to manage the virtual machines locally, while Proxmox, on the other hand, is managed through a web-based interface that can be accessed from any web browser, making it easier to manage virtual machines and containers across multiple servers. Proxmox offers advanced features such as live migration, high availability clustering, and backup and restore functionality, which are essential for managing virtualized environments in a data center, while VirtualBox is powerful for desktop virtualization, it lacks some of these like enterprise level features. Proxmox is backed by a commercial company, Proxmox Server Solutions, which offers professional support and services for users. While VirtualBox, developed by Oracle, also offers some support options, but it may not be as comprehensive as Proxmox's support offerings. So in summary, while VirtualBox is suited for desktop virtualization and smaller scale virtualization needs, Proxmox is more suitable for server virtualization and larger scale virtualization deployments. Now, for our training program, VirtualBox will be fine. However, you just won't be able to run as many VMs simultaneously as you can with Proxmox. And if you have an extra machine and you feel adventurous, consider installing Proxmox. And basically, when it comes to equipment, use what you have. I mean, you could repurpose an old computer. Maybe you could add some more memory to it, but you don't need an exceptionally powerful machine. So like I said, even if you don't use an older system for your build, you may be able to use the memory and SSDs from an old system and upgrade a relatively cheap or repurposed system. A lot of students have had success in purchasing refurbished servers. Also, if your system does not have the resources to simultaneously run multiple VMs on different VLANs, only turn on the VMs that you need when you're using at that specific moment. For example, if you're creating events to practice using your SIM, you do not need to have all like your forensic workstation or your malware analysis VM running at the same time. That will just help you prioritize if you're running on limited resources. All right, so to download, just go to proxmox.com, and we're looking at the Proxmox VE or virtual environment. Go ahead and go to downloads. This is the one that we're interested in, so we'll go to Proxmox VE. The latest version is 8.3. This is the ISO installer, and that is what we want to download. So just select download. It looks like it's 1.3 gigabytes. So depending on your network connection, it may be a quick download or not so quick. I'll go ahead and pause the video during this download. Okay, so we've completed that download. So now what we want to install is a piece of software called Rufus. And what we use Rufus for, if you don't already have it installed, is it will create a bootable USB drive for us. So basically what we'll do is take the ISO that we just downloaded for Proxmox. We'll use Rufus to create a bootable USB, and then we will install Proxmox through the USB on our hardware that we're installing the Proxmox server. So once you have downloaded the appropriate version for Rufus, I just went with the standard Windows 64, and then you can just open it up. And once it's open, insert, if you haven't already, insert the USB that you intend to make your bootable USB. In my case, it's just this generic 32 gigabyte USB. And then you select the ISO that you want to boot to. Navigate to where your Proxmox ISO is. Select Open. Select OK. And everything else should be good. So go ahead and select Start. Just a word of caution that you'll see the pop-up will come up and remind you that if you have anything on that USB stick, it will be overwritten when the Proxmox ISO is written to it. As you see, I had some stuff on that disk, so it's deleting some partitions. So this may take a few minutes to create the bootable USB. As you see, there is a progress bar, and I'll go ahead and pause it while it continues to write. Okay, so now the disk is completed. We can go ahead and close this and take the disk out of our host machine and be prepared to now move over to our system that we will be installing Proxmox on. So once you have booted to the Proxmox installer, and based on the system that you use, you insert the USB drive, and then as you restart that system, you'll hit either Escape or F10 or F8 and choose your boot device, which you would choose the USB that we installed the Proxmox ISO to. So once it gets there, you'll be presented with this screen, and you can go ahead and select the Install Proxmox, the graphical interface. The next screen that'll come up will be the end user license agreement. So go ahead and select Agree. You can then select the disk that you want to install Proxmox on. And then select your location and time zone. The next screen will prompt you to create a password and to confirm it, and then select an email address. You will have to change that default email address. The next screen provides the network information as far as the IP address, the gateway, and the DNS server, and this should be automatically selected for you if you have DHCP on your home router. And you could also give it a fully qualified domain name for the host name. The next screen allows you to confirm your settings before you select Install. And if everything looks correct, then go ahead and select Install. So there will be a progress bar at the bottom with that will let you know the progress it's making during the installation. And this may take a few minutes to actually install. So once it is complete, you get to the login, and it also gives you the IP address and the port number that you can now access the web interface to complete the rest of the installation. Once you're connected with your browser at the IP address it gave you and port number 8006, you will then be prompted to log in. The username is root, and the password is whatever you set it to during the installation process. Once you get logged in, you're always going to be presented with this pop-up, unless if you pay for a subscription. But everything's fully functional without paying for the subscription. So you can just select OK to get rid of that box. But you will see this box every time you restart the service. So that completes the installation. In the next video, we'll pick up from here and we'll upload some ISOs and start building VMs.